Okay, this is interior of one of the mosques later, and they began to use the honeycomb inside as well, and they become more and more sophisticated. Look at this. They're actually carving out. It's actually diagonal, but again, they carve out, so it gives more support to the ceiling. Yet, it has this decorative feel, and inside, look at this, are all like gold paint, and they're highly decorated. In fact, all the mosques, I don't have any pictures, but even the great congregational mosque, actually I've been there, it's all like mosaic inside. It's like, as you can imagine, again, very, very detailed, down to the, minute, elements. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, this is my Iranian, again, very, very detailed. Okay, this is another one of those later, present former Soviet Union, just north of one of those, Uzbekistan and one of those. Okay, so they adopted it, but in this case, it's not continuous. See, it's cut off. They have four sides, but it's cut off. It's not. They do have a mosque, but this is actually a school where people came to learn Islamic teaching. So one of them is a small mosque. They go and pray. One of them is actually the actual school. One of them is an administrative, not four either. There's three elements, but they adopted that Iranian, 4 type of mosque system. Okay, so they're coming up there with their own. Again, the minaret, they put it as they want, not here, but elsewhere. But they do adopt a similar style. So you see how prevalent and how influential the Iranian 4 structure is. This is another one. So again, there's a mosque here. Again, continuation. But again, see how you can tell it's not Iranian one? Look at the geometric design. It's kind of more larger and broad. It's not as detailed. Okay, and again, these are other colors. See how this is a mosque attached to the INWA. So there's a whole huge structure behind it. So remember, this is all developed in Iran. And look at these mosaics. I mean, again, remember this is done all by hand. We're putting one stone by another, one tile after another. Again, calligraphy integrated into arabesque. See below it's arabesque design. On top that they have. And this is like all individual design. We're talking about enormous amount of time and energy and effort to produce all the wall sets with this kind of design. All right, let's move on to Turkey now. And this is much, much later. We're talking about, finally, around 13th century. The Arabs go all the way to the present-day Turkey. Originally, that was all Roman Empire, part of Roman Empire. And then once Roman Empire became Christian, it became called the Eastern Roman Empire, eventually Byzantine Empire. Okay. But then they already, remember, in 6th century, the Arabs invaded certain parts. By 13th century, there's a huge power to be reckoned with. That's the Ottoman Empire. That's basically the Turkish people. Okay, they completely Now, this is present-day Istanbul. Okay. When they invaded, there was already a huge structure built there, which was actually a Christian church, whether remember originally occupied by the Romans. But this was a very, very famous building, built in 6th century, called Hagia Sophia. So it has more of the see the more traditional Roman arch, round Roman arches, right? Huge dome, and so they appreciated the building. Okay, so even though and plus remember, they never saw, even though there's all these fights between Christians and Islam, they originally never saw it as being enemies. Remember that they believed that all the prophets in the Old Testament are same prophets, and even Jesus was one of the prophets, and Muhammad was the last one. So what they did is they converted it into a mosque. How can you tell it's a mosque? because of the minarets. Okay? Again, by this time already, all this influence from Iran and so on, that's why you have, once again, 4 minarets. They look more like rockets. But anyway, they come up with their own, certainly, not Persian anymore, this is very, more Arab people. So they were so impressed with this building. All the buildings they came about later was modeled after this. This is from 6th century. And that actually is modeled after a building, a famous building in Rome itself, where you have around that. Remember, domes are very hard to build. And we're talking about, you've seen dome before, but again, it's very, very hard to tell from slides. But these we're talking about over 100 feet in terms of the width. And that's very, very long. I mean, to have a structure like that, a round dome like that, where with no support in the middle, I mean, you have to have real engineering technique to come up something like that. So these are like really ancient. This is 2nd century, this is 6th century. The Romans were very, very indeed capable in all this engineering. So that was it. The other domes you're seeing, they were, not more than, 50 feet, and that's about it. But we're talking about twice as big. So this was already there, Hagia Sophia. That's the Roman dome. And the Hagia Sophia in Turkey today, that's built upon this with impressive interior, with all this design, and even more impressive. They came up even better support system enough. Look what they have done here. They felt, you have this massive, about 100 feet wide dome here. You'd be very, very, reluctant to make holes on the way where the dome comes down, because that's the one that's supporting it. But they felt really confident enough to make holes here. So you have, during the day, you have light coming in from all, from some windows at some point, right? And the impression people always said was that it looks as though the dome is floating above the light. So, okay, the intent, just as with the Islamic building in church as well, was to, give an impression that you're in, God's presence. So they wanted to make it as holy as possible. Okay, so indeed they have like all this window everywhere. Look at how they converted it. They put Islamic writing into this and put it there. So they completely converted. So this is the building that becomes the standard for the Persians. And we do know the name of the architect of the Ottoman Empire. His name is Sinan. And he was they called him Sinan the Great, because he was the main architect. He's supposed to have built not just mosque, but over 300 buildings during his lifetime. So Sinan, this is the mosque of Salim II. This is much, much later, 1565 to 66, the 16th century. Islamic art, Turkey. And what you have in your book is not a image, it's outside.